Birthing Dads.
Welcome back. In this video, we're going to discuss perinatal hormones. Hormones are nature's way of helping us survive. Every second of every day, hormones are giving us information about what is happening inside our bodies and all around us. In this video, we will explain the hormones of pregnancy and birth so you can start to get an idea of their incredible importance. Hormones not only have a huge impact on the way we feel on a day-to-day basis, they actually play a fundamental role in making conception and birth possible.
I think it's really important when we're talking about hormones in pregnancy and labour that we acknowledge that the hormones are changing women from the inside out. There's a great cocktail of hormones that are helping us to grow, helping the baby to grow, laying the foundations for that little baby's brain and body, and also starting to soften our bodies as we prepare for labour and birth.
Hormones are chemicals that are secreted into the blood to act as messengers to cells. They are made in one part of the body to send a signal to another part of the body. They help regulate your body's processes such as hunger or thirst. So when you feel a bit peckish or thirsty, that message is hormonal. Hormones help us to grow, regulate blood pressure, and even help us to breathe. Now, the reason why birthing dads need to be aware of perinatal hormones is because they are something that you can have a direct influence over. The way you relate to the mum-to-be during pregnancy, birth and early parenting has a huge impact on her and on your baby. Let me explain. At a primal level, conception, pregnancy, birth and early parenting all have the same hormone in the driving seat, oxytocin. Your baby was conceived in an atmosphere of oxytocin, and you and the mother of your child experience oxytocin peaks during orgasm, and oxytocin also drives labour. Oxytocin is also known as the hormone of love. It's our deep connection on a chemical level. And when we're in love, we are in oxytocin. We all hope that our child is brought into the world bathed in an atmosphere of love, and one way to achieve this is to ensure oxytocin is flowing. For the purposes of becoming birthing dads, we're just going to concentrate on two hormones, adrenaline and oxytocin.
The two main hormones that we talk about so much is oxytocin and adrenaline. And you know how oxytocin helps and adrenaline does not.
Let's start with adrenaline. Now this is our fight or flight response. It's our survival instinct.
When adrenaline hits the body, when we're in a situation where we are feeling fearful, the body fills up with adrenaline so we can pretty much pack up and get away.
It's our primal response to threats and danger. It makes us alert and hypersensitive. Now let's go back a few thousand years to relate the relevance of adrenaline to childbirth. Picture this. There's a woman in a cave giving birth, and the scout at the entrance to the cave comes running in and says, "There's a saber-toothed tiger coming." Imagine in between contractions the labouring woman saying, "Can you just tell that tiger to go away? I'm busy having a baby here." The actual scenario would have been an immediate tensing of her body in readiness for action, facilitated by a rise in adrenaline and cortisol, which would divert blood away from the uterus. And depending on how close she was to having her baby, this rush of adrenaline would have caused either, one, the birth to be accelerated by what's known as the fetus ejection reflex, or tension within the uterine muscles would stop labour so that she could escape.
So when we have a woman who's affected by adrenaline in the labour, it slows the labour down, and in some cases it comes to a screaming halt. So adrenaline doesn't serve us in the active part of labour in any way, shape or form.
But here's where it gets interesting. If your fear causes you to be the one who tenses up, your rise in adrenaline can also initiate the fear, tension, pain syndrome in her. Let's say that you're the scout at the entrance to the cave, and when you hear the news of the tiger, you also become adrenalised. And when you share the news, it also appears in your body language and your heightened state, and that communicates danger. So during labour, if you experience fear while witnessing her distress, you can transfer your adrenalised state onto her, which can have the effect of slowing down or stopping labour. Now, for this reason, it's fundamentally important for both of you to work hard during pregnancy to reduce your fear.
It all relates to when you read Grantley Dick Reed's work, Childbirth Without Fear. And he's behind the hypnobirthing and the calm birth and the gentle birth. Because when he saw that women remain calm, they will release their natural endorphins that will be like natural opiates to help them during their labour and birth. When they're anxious or afraid, they will release adrenaline. And we don't want adrenaline.
I'll share more on managing fear later. Let's talk about oxytocin. As mentioned, oxytocin is known as the hormone of love. When we are zinging on oxytocin, we feel loved up, calm and safe and soothed and satiated. Oxytocin reduces our stress and gives us relief from pain. And it also is great for the immune system. Pulses of this lovely liquid also initiate and drive labour in a continuous feedback loop. The brain and the uterus communicate via oxytocin. It is thought that when your baby is ready to be born, they send a pulse of oxytocin to their mother to kick off labour. Her brain responds by sending oxytocin surges to receptor cells in her uterus, telling it to contract. And this is the action that pushes the baby down.
To go into labour and for the majority of labour to happen, we require high levels of oxytocin. Now, these oxytocin levels get naturally produced in the woman's body. This oxytocin will allow her labour to continue with more ease, and it will keep it going at a pace that's manageable for her. So we want to kind of maintain this oxytocic balm around the mum, this safe, protective balm, and keep her oxytocin levels high. So there's things you can do with acupressure to help sort of fuel that oxytocin, but of course skin on skin, kissing, loving words, being close, just holding hands, whatever, touching, and allows her to have this oxytocin, which allows her to continue labouring, which allows her also to feel that calm, which then allows her to manage the sensations better. It helps her to build more endorphins as well, which are her natural pain relief substance, her opiates.
Oxytocin is also crucial for post-birth bonding between mum and bub and initiates what is called the letdown reflex of breastfeeding. Your influence on your partner's oxytocin levels helps the birth progress safely. If you are by her side, keep her in a bubble of your positive, loving energy, it can help her keep her oxytocin flowing. You know her better than anyone else. As her loving partner and confidant, you are capable of helping her secrete pulses of oxytocin. You quite literally have an oxytocin tap. During pregnancy, all you have to do is turn on the tap. Love her and your baby to the max. Hugs, cooking and sharing a meal, massages, walking in nature, prenatal yoga, play your favourite tunes and dance with her. Even singing is known to be great. Reassure her often and make her feel secure and supported. Do this all throughout pregnancy and your family will be primed for a life filled with love. From this point on, I'll be mentioning something called the hormonal haze of childbirth. This is a trance-like state brought on by hormones that defines active labour.
There's a magical moment towards the end of birth where, oxytocin is getting really high. And then her endorphins are kind of cranking up full speed. And what that means is like the frontal lobe is getting completely sort of smothered and covered, clouded in these endorphins and these opiates. So it's a bit like an opium den in there. So you've got like mum full of kind of love, calm, yielding surrender with oxytocin, and then she gets the opiates and she's like so sleepy, you know, she might fall asleep.
I'll go into detail about this in the birth support video. So, let's just summarise. During pregnancy and birth, increase oxytocin with love and cut out adrenaline by managing fear. Oxytocin and adrenaline cannot flow at the same time. So keep the oxytocin tap on full bore. The pregnancy support video has more information on how to reduce your fear and provides strategies for managing your apprehension during labour if you start to feel a bit anxious. In the next video, I'll show you proof that your involvement in pregnancy and maternity care is beneficial to the whole family.